Our 2024 lead with just 6 days left until Election Day. Let's talk about what could happen if Donald Trump wins the White House. Here now, Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas, who also served as a Navy SEAL officer. Thanks for joining us, Congressman. So at Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, Elon Musk, big supporter of the president, was asked how much money he would cut from the Biden-Harris budget because Trump is going to allow him to be some sort of efficiency guru for the government if Trump is elected. Here's what Elon Musk had to say.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
So cutting $2 trillion, and then a user on X or Twitter said, quote, there will be an initial severe overreaction in the economy. This economy propped up with debt, generating asset bubbles and artificially suppressed wages as a result of illegal immigration. Markets will tumble, and that's not Elon Musk, but Musk replied to that saying, sounds about right. So you are a member of Congress. You guys are the ones that get to decide what's in the budget, what's not in the budget. How do you feel about Elon Musk coming in? I'm sure that you support a more balanced budget, but this unelected official doing it.
Well, I mean, he would have no power to. I do think Elon would have an amazing role in the administration. Now, is it just kind of randomly looking around and cutting things? I'm not so sure it's that, but you look at a guy like Elon who's built such amazing businesses, taking such amazing risks, and he has a reputation for making whatever that business is a heck of a lot more efficient. And so putting him in a position where he can create efficiencies is not the craziest thing in the world to think about. It's a pretty good idea. I would love to see him work on things like, how do we make our acquisition and contracting process in the Department of Defense more efficient so that we're not spending 10 times what we need to spend on whatever weapon system, or even remodeling a bathroom that costs 20 times more than it should when you're talking about government contracting. So there's a lot of space for thinkers like him, honestly.
Last Friday, Musk said this about slashing the federal budget during a telephone town hall on Twitter or X. Take a listen.
We have to reduce spending to live within our means. And that necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
So I guess my question is, do you think that the people voting for Trump understand this quote-unquote temporary hardship that will come, at least according to Elon Musk?
I don't know. And I don't know what he means by temporary hardship, right? Look, this is a longer conversation, Jake, and I know we've talked about it before, but the true problem with our debt and our spending has to do with mandatory spending, things you don't even vote on. And that mandatory spending is about 70% of our federal spending, and that's Social Security, that's Medicare, that's Medicaid. So yeah, if you start to reform those or cut those, there's going to be pain. Now, I don't think that's what he's proposing, because I know President Trump doesn't even support touching those programs. But for people from my generation, we're worried we're never going to have those programs because, and there's for demographic reasons and mathematical reasons why that's true. So there needs to be a more serious conversation in America about what our spending is, where it's going, the truth about where it's going. You know, everybody wants to think that it's in a program that doesn't affect them, but the truth is, it's not. Most of our mandatory spending is indeed in the form of payouts to our senior citizens. And we decided a long time ago we want to keep those, but we have to make them sustainable. So look, there's so much devil in the details here when you talk about spending. Like I said, I could talk about it for an hour, and I know we don't have that much time.
No, but it is something that I agree with you on. These are not sustainable programs as of right now. Let me ask you about another idea more close to home. It's more close to Texas that President Trump has floated, which was added into the 2024 Republican Party platform, which says, quote, Republicans will mobilize military personnel and assets as necessary to crack down hard on the cartels that traffic drugs and people into our country. President Trump said something about this the other day at Mar-a-Lago. We mentioned that you served as a Navy SEAL. You represent a border state. How would it work to deploy military assets to go after cartels? I'm not judging it. I'm just wondering, how does that work? In the United States, in Mexico? Explain.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where they got this idea from. Oh yeah, it was me. I'm the one who introduced that bill and authorized use of military force against the cartels. So what does that look like in practice? Because all the headlines, from provocateurs in Mexico that were on the side of President AMLO. Thank God he's gone. And your kind of far left activists here in the U.S. They said, well, we're going to invade Mexico. These crazy Republicans want to invade Mexico. Of course, that's not what we're thinking of. What we want is a same kind of relationship that we have with so many other allies across the world. Colombia is probably the best example. So for 30 plus years, we've had a massive military presence in Colombia. We work alongside them. We train them. We give them resources. We had a name for it. It was called Plan Colombia. And that turned from almost a failed state in the 90s to what it is now. Now, I grew up there, went to high school there, so I know it pretty well. That's the kind of thing that we envision with Mexico. We want a partner. We want a partner. And this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This has long been a Mexican government issue, refusing to allow that partnership. We need to change that. I hope the new administration in Mexico realizes that. I think it'll be better than the last one. They were just, the new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, was just inaugurated in October. I do have some hope, and I've actually put an amendment into this year's NDAA that asks NORTHCOM. So NORTHCOM is the military command in charge of North America, which includes Mexico. I've asked them to put together a report on, look, if Mexico would let us help them, what kind of resources would be best suited for that mission, and how would we do it? We already work with them a lot, but we need a lot more because we need to actually deter the cartels. The cartels need to think that Navy SEALs are actually coming after them. That's the bottom line. That's deterrence. And when we create that deterrence, we get the cartels to rethink their business model, and we get them to rethink putting fentanyl, a poison, into our streets and lacing our drugs with it and killing our kids. That's the ultimate end goal here. A more prosperous, safer Mexico, not infringing on their sovereignty. Any kind of military action would be done by, with, and through the Mexican government. There's no question about that. But we need to act because there are too many places in Mexico that are simply not governed by the government.
Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas, thank you so much. Good to see you as always.